I've lived by a code. Do you love me, brother?
You're my brother.
Brothers in arms.
Would you protect me against any enemy? Honor the gods.
No retreat.
Love your woman.
No surrender.
And defend your country.
One more. That is Spartan law.
Yeah, we get one more.
What we doing live? Echoes in eternity.
Any other 6 guys? I don't think we make it.
And by Spartan law, we will stand and fight.
I'm proud to know Americans like you.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
People ask me, why do you do it, man?
Where's the rescue squad? We're it.
What?
Let's go to work.
They won't understand.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The conversation never got boning at this time in the morning.
It's so early in the morning over there that it's, you know, the rooster hasn't even crowed yet. The sun's not even started to peak above the horizon.
Well, it's going like this. It's like peekaboo.
Coast to coast coaching in the morning with Coach X4. How's everybody doing out there?
But,
probably just give people a few minutes to hop in here. How you been doing, Coach, man?
I don't know. It's been fun lately. Just a lot of not really a lot of moving parts, but with some of the more of the tasks that I've put under my belt, our private group is doing. It's getting more and more engagement, and the alliance is building up pretty nicely. And then in regards to X Protocol, there are 2 projects in the works currently under development to that like it's going to be like launched from our devs and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I forgot to tell you that this morning.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get to that part yet.
I know,
but that's what we're live for, right?
Yeah. We'll just wing it, you know? Just kidding. But yeah, so then also just grinding on a daily basis in regards to PGC and family life is a freaking roller coaster, but that's going to be a surplus. And then actually, I forgot to tell you too, I think I found something in regards to pedi as well. But I'm just finalizing some I's, like dotting some I's on some
Crossing
T's.
some T's.
Yeah, just to make sure that I found something juicy. So what about you? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've been taking the last couple days off crypto, but you know, just tuning into my group a little bit here and there. But you know, work continues on.
Frank says to turn up the mic a little bit.
Okay.
Unless that's
I can
me.
do that. It's probably you. Mine's on blast. I think I'm at like a
Frank, is it
74, 75, 78. I mean, it's going to be really loud now. So if it's
Am
too
I
loud,
the problem, Frank?
Tell me to tune it down a little bit, but awesome. Yeah, we got building going on over here. I did make a post recently on X that kind of cryptically outlined a little bit about what we're building for a contract add-on for Access Token. We can definitely dig a little bit into that today. I didn't want to fully demo everything, but I can start to talk more openly about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we have is something novel that's going to help prove the hex Comm fusion and help the price performance of Comm so that long-term stakers get paid more to stake long. And that's a pretty powerful concept. Mm-hmm. So that's the root of it. And, you know, I hope that there's people in here today that just want to ask questions, because that's probably easier to do, is just handle the questions about it. Beyond that, I do a course on Wednesday nights. It's a technical analysis mastery course that covers TA. A lot of that is original material from Crypto Cred, who is an OG crypto legend and TA master. But what I did is I took that material then and modified it slightly for an emphasis on DeFi and how to view that TA through the lens of DeFi. So it's been adapted for that, and so that we do on Wednesday nights for accessalive.com members, and then on Monday nights we do our like charting session / Q&A / market overview. We take a look at the macro, and I have guests on there on occasion. So that stuff between developing and running the course and doing, a weekly market update does keep me quite busy. And people pay good money for high quality information. So then, things have moved along quite a lot since I started the service back in 2023. So yeah, I'm busy with that stuff. It's been a ride, and so we're gearing up. I got a Crispy on my one hand, I got Markable on the other, I got devs, I got all these guys that feed to me, and it's a double job. It's a double full-time job. Keeping everything going.
It's like we're basically in the same situation, which is kind of funny. But in that regards, it's like people just don't understand or grasp the dedication it actually takes to have a service and then also be like a founder or a builder of a project that you want to have longevity for. And just thinking about different ideas and then different concepts that people, like what you were just saying, like I still don't get Comm. So that's the only thing.
That would be awesome if we could talk about Comm today and just show the chart and show what's possible and why it's important.
Yeah. Like you keep on saying it, like last phone call conversation we had, we were kind of talking about it, but I think Alive is going to be very successful for the longevity, because one of the things that I've been noticing, especially on Ethereum, on the Titan X side of things, and like in regards to like Zen itself too, like burning the said token to get X token or a B token is a very powerful tool. And if it's utilized correctly in the community, and then it's going to be beautiful as well.
Yeah, there is a burn element in there. It's so the Alive is a commitment-based system, meaning it's not that much different from hex staking in regards to if you have to burn and lock tokens. The difference with this system is there's already like a capped community supply of access tokens, and access is required to mint Alive, and Alive is minted proportionally to the amount of access that's burned for times the amount of time that you burn it for. So long story short, the guy that burns more access for longer, and that's a permanent burn. That's not like, it burns itself away and then gets reminted later like Hex. It doesn't do that. This is like a permanent burn on token supply of access. So then it creates like a situation where it's more predictable. There is like a theoretical maximum amount of Alive that would ever exist based on the number of access that's circulating in the community supply. But it's a commitment-based system because the contract forces you to lock a certain amount, lock half your deposit and burn half your deposit, and then you can go up to a certain time frame. So it's pretty simple in that regard. But the mechanics are what makes it special. This concept of the instant rebate is something that also is present in Comm. Basically, when somebody goes to stake Hex for long term, let's say 15 years in this case, they're going to get the most amount of Comm back from that. Comm mints proportionally to the number of Hex that gets staked for how long. And basically, if you don't stake for over 10 years, you're not really getting any meaningful amount of Comm. So you always have to base the instant rebate number off of a max length stake, or in Access, a max length commitment, because that's like the most you can get from a commitment. in either system. So it's basically just this. You stake hex for however long, you're getting back a certain amount of comm, and that's going to have a dollar value with it. So like if the coupon rate in Comm is 10%, because the Comm price is high enough, then if you put 50 grand through the contract, meaning you staked hex for 15 years, you're getting 10% back. That's $5,000 of Comm that you're getting back right now. But that dollar amount fluctuates based on the price of Comm. So if Comm goes down in price, the rebate goes down. If Comm goes up in price, the rebate goes up. So as users hoard Comm, the price goes up. And this is, it's done this already. Maybe I'll pull up my screen. Which makes it's basically like you're paying for marketing dollars. Does that make sense? Because somebody else can come in behind you. If you believe that your dollars are better spent on marketing budget to get new guys to stake for 15 years, then you would buy up the Comm price so that when somebody stakes for 15 years, they get more money back now. Mm-hmm. So it's like when you're buying Comm, it's a vote for more long-term staking behavior. And that's like the premise of what Comm is. There you go. That's the Comm chart here. So I'm just going to measure it in pulse because, we're crypto.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. So, well, since this isn't even the full history, but this is the relevant history. In the beginning of in the middle of 2023, after Pulse Chain launched, Comm went and did 191x against Pulse on pretty low liquidity. It was pretty thin at the time. And then this is kind of the time frame when Comm and the secret weapons started to become popular. And so then we had this like period of kind of like washing the inflation through the system and creating price floors. Because remember, the only way that new comms can be minted is if somebody goes and stakes hex for the long term. And so you're kind of limited with the amount of hex that's available that's going to go out that long anyways. So there's for sure a limit to the amount of comms. Comm is actually more scarce. Even though there's more units of Comm, it's more scarce at this price than hex is. And I think people miss that. So and to prove my point, it's gone up, 191x back here, and then it retraced 90 some odd percent, and now it's up since the bottom here in June. Comm is up 4x over Pulse. So you could have 4x your Pulse if you were just buying this dip. And that looks like a pretty hard floor. I mean, you got a nice little floor there at this rough level. And so what this does is there's a ratio here between hex and Comm, and that ratio gives you a coupon rate. And I think the coupon rate right now is around like 4%. So if you stake for 15 years, you're getting 4% of that dollar value back in Comm now. But the higher that this price goes up in the future, the better the coupon rate gets for hex stakers. And if you do another layer deeper into the analysis, which I'm not going to go into right now, and you look into the token holders of this token, there's basically like 28 wallets on top that holds most of the Comm. It's like 65 to 70% of the Comm is held by the top wallets, and they don't appear to be selling. They are either accumulating or sitting tight. Maybe that's because these are hex whales that believe that, by paying people to stake long, it'll lock up more hex, which will give the price more runway, and it can bring new adoption into the system because people are getting paid to stake.
Mm-hmm. It's like I like how you use the word like marketing in the sense of right there, because essentially, like, if people, I feel like some of the people in the hex community and the Pulse Chain community has kind of dwelled away from actually staking their hex, and they're not motivated to do so because they're like, well, I did get a 10,000x. I should have staked for 15 years. I didn't have any that money was real. And it's like, no, there's other methods and other ways to actually utilize the hex, especially when it comes like comes to Comm. So, well, besides that, and besides your token or access token, what are you else like looking at?
Mm-hmm.
What are you most excited?
I can just run you through my what I'm looking at on the top bar here. Pretty much the same tokens I always talk about. PTGC, UFO have been very interesting lately. Let's see what else is relevant to this conversation. Pedi, Atropa, and Teddy Bear, I grouped them together in their own little ecosystem because they more directly impact each other. Obviously, I'm looking at the 5RH tickers. I'm trying to keep up with ETH and BTC, but they're just really par for the course, boring, par for the course. You got like some slightly higher highs, higher lows forming right now in BTC, setting up for a bigger move to the upside. With a small percent chance of like a black swan type huge correction that hits that 44K level on where the ETFs were announced, which would just V bottom out anyway. So anything that goes down there, guys, is like a buy. And if BTC is going to go spill, all the altcoins can get wrecked too. So you could pretty much take your favorite altcoin and just buy blindly down there and feel okay about it. Because you just pretty much just click, and you're just like, you're just going to load the bags up. Beyond that, let's see. I've got many requests and often look at the X token as well inside the boardroom, and I mean, I don't want to go steal your thunder, but structurally it looks like it could be putting in a double bottom here against Pulse. So and then maybe you should tell me a little more about how it's connected to these other components, right? Because look, Coach isn't the kind of guy that's just going to make a token on its own. Like he's going to have he came up from the PTGC stuff, so he's in the PEDI stuff, so he already knows like the importance of connected webs and like in different coins with different functionalities. So yeah, maybe you could just give me a couple minutes to explain the whole system front to back.
So before I go, because we have 308 people in the house. It's not connected to PGC. It's basically, actually, it was just before I go into explaining everything. Basically, X is a development protocol, and this is my team. This is my lead dev. His name's Super Secret Spy, and then also Brandon is a partner of mine that I bring like different projects, and his docs dev is basically they can build anything that you please or want, or if you want to build a website. So that's like the bigger scope of things. And then there is what's the concept that I'm going to say? Whenever there's something developed, 30% goes to buy and burning X token. So in regards to X though, and I kind of like talk about like the river flow, and because the law of money is called like maritime law, or it's like money is the law of water. So basically, with these liquidity pools, in regards to PGGC, it has a little bit more of a 1 to 10 ratio, 10 to 1 ratio. Basically, it's going to be following PGGC a little bit more. And in regards of Pulse, I utilize or want to keep this a little bit significantly like in the 7 to 1 ratio range. Just so what I noticed and could tell is the volume metric without any kind of like human interactions, I still get about $15,000 to about $50,000 in volume in that token, but also it's highly connected with pedi. Also, it's highly connected with just DAI from Ethereum. So it kind of has that like cell wall, cell pressure from right here. And then also it just helps utilize too in the liquidity pool, or not the liquidity pools, but in terms of the fees. The fees from the V3 have been helping to buy and burn X token. And then there's River. So there's basically the thought process of River is the river flows from PTGC to X, and River's in between. So this liquidity pool is about 22 to 1 in terms of the liquidity ratio. And it basically from here, I made X liquidity pool smaller. So basically, when there's a movement on X, essentially, like a big movement down or big movement up, basically what the two rivers do is like the volume goes through it, and then it kind of like ricochets from on PTGC, since that's a lot stronger, and then it just kind of like flows through back to the system. So, and then also in that regards, there's 1.3 million e-hex as well. So I kind of just scream at the top of my lungs, what do you think that liquidity pool is going to be when hex possibly goes back to all-time highs? No, it's not financial advice, but what's the size of this liquidity pool going to be? So
I'm going to tell you what, we went and bonded Axis and PTGC together, and I think it was like 12.5K. And this happened a few months ago.
Well, this is like, here, hold on. Yeah.
And it just, the pool's up like 10x in size. And that's just because Axis went up like 3x against Pulse, and fucking PTGC went up how many X's against Pulse? And so the combined strength of those two coins produced this pool that the pool 10x in value. So it's like a sign of like things to come for the art. Whenever you're bonded to an RH coin, and it's going to increase in value, and if the bonded token can also perform in price, then you're going to have the situation where the pools are just going to explode in value.
Yeah. And honestly, it's just like for people out there, it's just like, I don't care if you want to be a part of it or not be a part of it. It's going to be here for a very, very long time. And then basically River X is kind of like the river flow to UFO. So, and everybody knows UFO. Let's look at the chart, guys. Oh my gosh. It's like a freaking tree trunk.
It's like a vine that reaches for the sky.
Yeah.
What is that? The story about the giant, the beanstalk or whatever?
Yeah. It's not coming down. You can't cut it down. But yeah, but in regards to River X,
I'm pretty sure I got a bag of that I was given for free, UFO, and it's like up 3 or 4x now. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. And then like the same thing with River X with the liquidity pools. And then in regards to Bank and Heath, Bank is just like the liquidity bank where all the liquidity is stored and no expectations from the work of others in the future with that. That's a little alpha right there. That's a little fun. And then there's Heath. And Heath has $52,000 of liquidity tied to it as well. But in talking about liquidity pools, like X was launched right here, August 10th. And it's kind of funny. It was launched on the 8th day of, no, the 8th month of the 8th year. And if you add the date it was launched on, it adds up to 8. So it's like 888. But here, let's show the access liquidity pool. like, and this is the thing about people really don't understand about liquidity pools. So this was launched probably at the same time X was launched. Honestly, I think it was like the same day.
It was really close.
Yeah.
It was like, within a week or less.
Yeah. So it's like from this point to this point, that's 615%. This liquidity pool like grew. So I think we had 30K. Was it 30K in here?
I want to say that there was
altogether, I think it was 30K.
Yeah, I think it was like this pool started with 15K, I think. Because the UFO pool also got 15K. So it was split in half.
Yeah, but the collectively it was
30K.
30K. Yeah. On both sides. But like looking at that, and then also just looking at access. Let's see where
what a chart.
What a chart! Kind of looks like PTGC. Yeah. But this is like people just don't get the power of liquidity and the power of like two good systems. And it's just like, then in terms of X, like just you can just see. It's like X is like low cap, like doesn't have the most liquidity, but like at the same time, like it's already done what 1,000, actually more than
17.5X.
Yeah. So it's just once people understand the power of liquidity, like one of the things that I'm going to be teaching on Thursday in regards to my group is I'm going to kind of like show and teach how to have your own token. And you don't even need to talk to anybody about it. You can just launch it, add the liquidity pools, and just let it be for the top of the market. And then you can literally do whatever you want with that token. Like if you want to take help like profits, or at the same time, you can just add the liquidity pools on 9-inch, and you can make them as big as possible as you want. And you can live off the fees. And that's like a little like piggy bank for you. Or if you want to like build out a project or have a good idea, the most powerful thing it's going to be into the RH tickers and liquidities and the best alts here on Pulse Chain. And I wonder who they will be.
When it comes to this idea of everybody making their own token, I kind of caution people in that, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can end up with all of your token and nothing else that you paired with. So be careful on that regard, on that front. Ask questions, just be prepared for a lot of work, because making a token is not easy and making it perform is even harder. I mean, making the token itself is a couple clicks if you just want to go the easy route. But yeah, I'm trying to discourage people from making tokens, because it's like, not that because it's not useful or beneficial, but just that it's not as cut and dry as I think some people like to make it sound. So I kind of differ from Coach on that viewpoint. But if you are going to do it, there are opportunities. Just have a good idea and present that idea to someone you trust. Like, if Coach is your main man, or if I am, or Crispy, or somebody who's got experience making successful tokens, you definitely want to approach them first to vet your idea. And like there's going to be, with the way that Pulse Chain's set up, so this is the other side of that token. The way Pulse Chain's set up is it allows users to create liquidity dynamics that you just could not afford to do on Ethereum. And so it's a very unique time in history where the chain is so affordable that we can do stuff on this chain that you just couldn't do on other chains. And that's kind of what Coach is saying, is like there's options for there's possibilities there to make very powerful webs and very powerful dynamics. So yeah, just never before seen things, that are coming to light now. So couple questions here just came in on just some TA stuff. I thought maybe we could cover that.
Yeah, let's do it.
PHEX weekly stochastic RSI cross. What do you think? Pull up my screen here 1 second.
But yeah, 100%. Before you do anything, understand how to do it, and then understand how to set up your liquidity pools, because you will be, you'll get fucked. So that's why that was a good little thing. You said, it was just like, I'm discouraging people, and like, I'm like the total opposite. Like, I have a development protocol. Of course, I'm going to be a little biased, but at the same time, like, there's many different things you can do in the future.
It's like that kind of that pivot point where it's both the most opportunity ever, but you could also end up, wrecked too at the same time. How many tokens have I seen launch that just went like got crushed? Like, there's been so many, and there's been some that have been OTC'd for and stuff, and it's been causing a lot of chaos over in the SolidX Telegram, for example. These tokens that have been OTC'd for, that had no value, that have no concept of how to market make or how these pools should be set up in a beneficial way to support the web as a whole. And so then they just fade, and then they don't do anything, and then it's just a loss of value for the ecosystem. That stuff's like really not good.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is PHEX, and I'm only viewing it here in PLS terms. I guess you're probably looking at the USD chart on the weekly, huh? Let's see. You said PHEX weekly stochastic RSI cross. Yeah, so you're talking about this cross here at the top so I've seen this happens in the past. This happens on assets where you'll get this like cross. So just keep this in mind, that until both the blue line and the orange line cross the 80 level, it's still a bullish. You're just seeing a pause area. So this can do this type of stuff, and this can still be bullish price action, but just the momentum is kind of ranging and consolidating, so that you're still getting upside, but it's just slowing down a little bit. The momentum only flips bearish when both of these cross below the 80 line, and then you can expect more of a deeper retracement or a loss of momentum, which could just mean that the price stalls out. I've seen this come down here and then bounce, and this just meant that the price stalled out. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the USD version. Let's look at Pulse. I mean, it had an amazing run. Yeah, so this one here is a little more ahead of it, where you're getting the cross came in, and this has got a much sharper decline, or it's declining at a much sharper slope. So then it's just basically up to the orange line to finally cross that 80 level, because this looks like it's headed right down there. But usually what will happen is that your fast line will come down here, it'll bounce, and your orange line will slowly start to fade, and then you'll get like a battle for a battle here that occurs, and then eventually they both cross down, and then that's your loss of momentum. So this could be the beginning of that, but that doesn't mean that the price is necessarily topped out, because I've seen this occur where it just chops sideways, something like this. Something like this, and it starts to create a bearish divergence, and then it'll do something like this. So that's possible too, where you actually do make higher levels, but the momentum just slows down. So that's all that stochastic is really reflecting to us at this time. And then the other question was Crypto Charla regarding Teddy Bear, and I know people have been getting really bullish on Teddy Bear lately. And I was like, and I'm looking at the Pulse chart, and I'm like wondering, why are people getting so bullish on this? And it's because it's in an uptrend. It's created like this pennant structure, and it's in an uptrend, and it's holding this lower trend line's holding quite well. And it was reversed and protected at the 618. That's like your key first level of defense on the way back down, a major level. And now it just looks like it's just grinding up to like in this sort of way, and trying to flip this 0.5 fit, or the 50% fib retracement as support. So, I mean, that structurally it all looks good. I guess what you'd look for if you were going to take a trade on this, because someone I really respect said that this token in particular, teddy bear, is just shark infested waters. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's clearly a lot of battles going on inside of this chart where, you know, people are trading this actively, like back and forth. These are, I don't know how big are these swings. Let's measure some of them. 230% up with a 56% retracement. I mean, you got that all over this chart. Here's one where it's like up 43%, and then the next couple days, the next 10 days, it's down 30%. And so there's like definitely battles inside of this chart all the time, and it's good for swing trading. And so people are definitely like the sharks are probably, you know, compounding their bags inside of these ranges as more and more supply is being eaten up. But where you take this trade technically is probably on a retest of the top of this pennant and a resumption off that level. Because this thing never goes straight up, it always comes back to retest. It came back to retest here too when it broke out of this pennant. It came back and smacked down on there, held the support for a 3-day candle, and then started to build off that. And yeah, so teddy bear, you know, it's not going to go straight up like a Shiba Inu style pump until it is, and it's hard knowing when that is. So if you had 0 of it, maybe you want to get some at any level, and then but to take like a bigger trade on it, you'd want to look for that breakout, retest, and resumption off that kind of top upper resistance line there. And this actually has been respected all the way back to the beginning. So this is like definitely a major level that once that breaks, it's going to be price discovery for teddy bear.
Can you pull up the pedi chart? I wanted everybody to see it too. It's exactly the same chart, the teddy bear, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tropa, teddy bear, and pedi are effectively the same asset that just have slight minute differences. I basically treat them all as the same. There we go. So we're respecting this 200-day moving average right now on pedi. It's also in its own sort of pennant structure. And pedi actually looks better against pulse. So this is kind of the main token in my mind. This is the one with the narrative. This is the one with the price action and the volume and the volatility that makes it a really good opportunity. You know, you could be in the 9-inch farms farming pulse pedi and getting more of either one, which I think is a good play at this point in the cycle. And, you know, this is where we're playing around. Is we're doing the equivalent of what we did back in this zone right here, in my opinion. And you can really see it when you look at the log chart, is where we're just building out a nice structural base here and playing with that 200-day moving average the same way we did in the beginning. And this is stuff I covered last night on my private session. It's like you have this oscillation of price around the 200-day moving average. Well, we're doing it again, where we're just oscillating around in here for a bit until it's time to go higher.
And the funny thing is, like, with all the hate and all the haters, in regards to pedi, it's just like once Ethereum and the markets start moving, pedi will start moving as well. And it's going to be
well, so it's interesting because this period of flat for pedi, it's actually quite strong. If you know, because Hex has been moving so hard, and you haven't seen a ton of abandonment of it during this period where Hex has just been ripping. And that's a good thing, I think, because it's showing that the narrative is very much alive and real, and people don't want to give up their bags of pedi. And why would you when it's doing this kind of volume? So just from this local low here to the high, or to where we're at now, this single pair did $7 million of volume in 40 days. And so that's a lot. And that's a lot in, it's a little bit, and you're looking at big time global markets, but it's a lot when you figure how much that number would have been if Pulse was 10x in price or 20x in price, or, you know, any amount of multiples higher in price. that multiplies that number of volume that's flowing through this asset. And so you're basically front running future price by capturing units at these levels and letting your LPs just sit there and compound. So the strategy here is, try to accumulate pedi or like sit in LP and let that auto compound for you.
Mm-hmm. It's this is what Richard Hart's talked about. Imagine being a liquidity provider for anything like Pulse, PulseX, Hex, eHex, Inc, anything at the bottom Pulse, and then Pulse does 1000x. I don't know if it's going to be this first cycle. Maybe it's going to be the second cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But just imagine that and then the compounding effect of those liquidity pools. And it's just like people just really do not understand the power of liquidity.
And it's like a double-edged sword, because if you get shook on stuff, you could end up pulling at the wrong time and get impermanent loss. But that shouldn't mean that you're scared of liquidity providing and you're gonna like not do it or not participate, because it's literally the biggest mistake you could make by not learning these systems and how they work and how you can use them to your benefit. Everybody that just sat on their bags, their sack bags, and never put them in a farm, never put them in LP, they're having major regrets because everyone else around them is getting enriched by this process of the chain accruing value over time.
Mm-hmm.
Just through the auto routers and the bots and the activity on chain. It's enriching the users that are staying here and in positions and believe. And pedi is a great example of that.
Well, keep on trading, guys. My LPs. But it's just like, that's the thing. Like in regards to like impermanent loss, it's a scary word out there,
Scary word with no real bearing.
Meaning, well, actually, no, it does have meaning.
It does.
But for me, I look at that word of like, oh, I'm going to be losing one than the others. It's like, would you rather have more Pulse or would you rather have more Pulse X? Like, if those two things go up in value, they're going to be going up in value basically the same way. And that
when somebody says that, Coach, when somebody says that they're scared of impermanent loss, they're really just greedy. They're just too greedy, right? Because that means that they're profit maximalists. So they're a trader by design. That's what they are. They need to. Those people are missing the whole point and the opportunity, right? Especially in the ink farms, like where you're earning, like high yield on that stuff. Like that's a hedge. You're getting like a really good hedge when you're doing stuff like that. If you're scared of that stuff, then you should be a hex staker. You should just straight up stake hex, because that's the other option.
That's actually a good point right there. Or just stake your PTGC. You're good.
That's right.
If you want to single side it, go right ahead. What's your thoughts on Project Pi?
Oh, I think that team is working so hard and they get no support. I really like then I love that what they're doing. I think it's got a lot of upside. I think it's just ahead of its time because there's not an immediate need for validators right now, and validators are still kind of cheap. But as the price increases on Pulse, there's going to be a more real and immediate need for that. And I also like this idea of staked Pulse having is a way to accrue more Pulse. So like, if you're sitting on Pulse liquid somewhere, I don't know why you wouldn't just hold staked Pulse instead, because it's going to have a premium over Pulse and you're going to be earning more Pulse just sitting on that bag. So maybe people don't understand or know what that means. Well, Project Pi is like a liquid staking platform. So what you do is it's like they take validating to a whole other level, and they allow you to lock your they basically hand over your Pulse to the contract. And then that Pulse gets used to validate, and which earns more Pulse as rewards. and then those rewards are distributed to the people that are holding staked pulse, which is just ST pulse, STPLS. This system exists on Ethereum. There's multiple staking derivative platforms on Ethereum that do the same thing. And so it's not like completely new. I think these guys are doing some cool stuff on the tokenomics side, because we're here on Pulse Chain and we got a bunch of tokenomics wizards over here that we expect that of dev teams, but that the stake pulse will have a higher price than a regular pulse will have, and it'll be earning more of itself. It'll be earning more pulse. So I don't know why you wouldn't, if you're sitting on liquid pulse, to do that. And there's even more advanced strategies when you start thinking about pairing STPLS with PLS and creating like a loop where you can just earn more of itself. It's pretty powerful tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I kind of just wanted to shout them out because, like you said, they don't get that much love, and what they're building is going to be needed in the future. It's needed right now too. If you want to have access to that stuff early, like imagine, like, what is it? How much is 32,000 polls? Or 32 million, my bad. 32. Like right now, to become a validator is about $1,800. But what if that goes up a 10x? Like that's going to be
it prices out a lot of folks. Yeah.
It's just like it's going to be a good time to be alive.
And the yield gets more expensive then too. So not only will it cost you 18K to, and not only will it cost you 18K to get the validator then, because you didn't do it now, but then your rewards are going to be 10x the value too. So
and you're getting 18K more education because you're learning about becoming a validator, and you can finally just focus on yourself and learn about an additional thing to give you passive income. And then with that validator, maybe that goes to buy more PX, and then you go stake your PX for the longevity. And it's kind of like there's many ways for the whole community to help each other, especially when it comes to the terms of Hex. It was like that's like the store value in the ecosystem, because it's like the Bitcoin. And if everybody did, like, let's just say it was a liquidity provider on V3 with access and pedi, and they're just getting more access in pedi, and let's just say 50 or 25% of those fees rewards go to buying PHEX, and then that individual stakes for 5555, and then they get some Comm, and then it's just, and then in terms of the not deflationary, but interest, basically gets the circulating supply of Hex would go down in value, which will make it easier to pump for the short time plus the longevity of the whole ecosystem as well. So I don't know.
You're basically, I'll say the same thing a different way. You're basically putting, like, if the whole community can get behind this idea of taking your yield from validating, from ink farming, from Hex staking, and you're just recycling it back through the system. You could use V3's fees as an example as well. Any of these different mechanisms for earning more crypto, and then you're just recycling that value through the system so that it never really crosses back across the bridge and exits. You're basically building up the liquidity base indefinitely, and it's an infinite money printer for everybody involved. And that effect is really going to become powerful when more and more people are feeling really, really strong sentiment about the chain, where money just isn't leaving. It's just net coming in. A lot of money is coming in. New players are coming in every day. We've seen some of that now with Hex, where like a single dude came in and took 50 million Hex off the market in 1 hour. It's just, that's going to continue to happen. And so the key here is that keeping that money in the system, because the rewards get better, you compound your bag, and just rotating it. And like as the network gets more and more bullish and the sentiment gets better and better, people aren't going to want to leave, and it's just going to keep so much value is going to accrue inside the system, I guess.
And like, with that being said, it's just like, why do you think Pulse Chain was created? Pulse Chain was created for hex, p hex, and essentially, it's like, if you think about like a network is like, you can think about United States as a network, because the United States is not a country, it's a corporation. So like Ethereum is a network. It's like a corporation where you can build on top. It's like a city. So it's just like, if more and more people learned how to make money, like print money out of thin air, but in keeping a percentage of it for different aspects that are needed, like staking your hex, staking your PGCs, adding liquidity onto the farms, and then subgating that ink rewards to like more liquidity pools, or buying more p hex or e hex. Which one are you more bullish on, e hex or p hex?
Oh, I've talked at this subject at length, and I'm of the belief that at this point now, where p hex is going to be the main driver, it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting this cycle, in terms of it's going to work the hardest to go the highest, but because it's going to pioneer and charge forward and do all that heavy lifting, it's going to make it's the equivalent of like a bulldozer going through the jungle and crushing all the trees in its path, and then it leaves just this huge gap where e-hex can come in behind it. Like, you could come in with a motorcycle behind it and just zip down the lane. You know what I mean? Because like all the trees are out of your way. So like p-hex is going to do all the work, and then e-hex right at the end of the cycle can just zip to like levels that people today are saying aren't possible, basically. So to say I'm more bullish on one or the other would be a lie, because they're the same asset to me, and it's just a matter of opinion. But because they're bonded together, p-hex will go up the most first, and e-hex is going to get like a slingshot or a rubber band shot that later on in the cycle.
Yeah.
It'll lag. That's probably the better way to frame it, is e-hex is just going to lag the rest of the coins. But when everything else is up 100x and e-hex is still in the up 5x, what do you think people are going to rotate into for some free gains? They're just going to rotate into e-hex.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, I'm a huge e-hex believer still. Even you just can't undo it, unfortunately, for those that want to just make it disappear. It's going to be a little bit riskier. So I wouldn't say that. I'd say that e-hex is kind of like expert mode, and p-hex is more like easy mode, because you can just stake and know that thing's going to go up and probably hit 30 or 40 cents in the not too distant future. So that's kind of my opinions on hex and e-hex. I like them both. I see them both as the same asset, but with different qualities about them.
Mm-hmm. You want to know one of my favorite tokens that I just bought and never sold?
Which one?
The Hex LP by Sunny.
That's e-hex versus p-hex, right? And they just compound?
Yeah, into the V2.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's like one of those tokens where I just threw like $100, and it's just like, all right, what $100? But it's just dripping e-hex and p-hex liquidity in V2 on PulseX, and it's just like,
those tokens that he's made are pretty interesting, and he kind of in a league of his own on them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, PTGC shares some of those qualities as well. That ecosystem took some of those. I don't know who did it first. Doesn't matter. That's not the point. But this idea of dripping rewards back to holders or stakers is pretty cool. And that's kind of like what makes Pulse Chain so awesome, is that, all these coins are going to pop up out of nowhere, and there's no way to predict, everyone can make their own money now, guys. There's no way to predict, what this chain looks like in 10 years, because it's just sky's the limit. Really.
Well, it's just like, This is like, because I'll talk about one more kid of mine that people just really don't understand the dynamics of, but like our burn token. Yes, it's the amplifier token, but at the end of the day, like if you look at the liquidity pool, burn is the third biggest liquidity pool between in terms of PGC. But the burn token has already burnt almost 25% of the total supply. And then I think about that number and and that's 1 year. So is 2 years going to be 50% of the total supply of burns? And all those liquidity pools are gone forever. And then while just holding it, you earn pulse. So it's like a win-win. I don't know why we don't talk about it more in regards to PGC's like community, but like there's going to be other tokens like like what's a token on Ethereum that popped off that was like sat for a year and then just like whoosh.
Did Floki, was that one of them?
Floki, yeah. I think
I mean, there's
was
like an
one.
unlimited amount of these tokens that have done. They go flat for a long period and then they just shoot up.
Yeah, I think Hoppy did that. That Hoppy token.
Would you say that Harry Potter or Obama Sonic 10 new coin ticker Bitcoin, was that one that applies?
I think so. But it's just like there's going to be so many tokens out here on Pulse Chain that are going to be here forever, and there's so many opportunities. Like, and it's safe opportunities too. So
here, let me before you rip that down, just to prove your point. This is that Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 new coin ticker Bitcoin. So funny. But look at how it like broke that diagonal structure, but it respected the horizontal support resistance line. This has been basically this has been sideways for 410 days, $869 million of volume. So when Pulse goes and does its many X's, this is what you can expect for volume on a token that just goes sideways for 410 days. It's crazy numbers of volume. I'm doing this just to show guys, when you're viewing stuff, view it in the native asset. So like price it against the native asset. This is going to show you a completely different picture of this. It didn't break this diagonal structure on the Ethereum pricing. It respected it perfectly and broke out, retested, and resumed off that level. And this is kind of what we were looking for on that bear chart, is like a breakout of the pennant, a retest, and a resumption off that level. And now it's going into the highs. And then Floki was another one that just went sideways for 365 days. It had a nice run up early on, and then it ate shit for like 200 days, and then it started to get up, but it's still range bound. And then finally it ripped. This type of stuff's going to happen with all kinds of coins. So I think they're in the bull run, dude. There's going to be an unlimited amount of coin opportunities on this chain. Yeah. Again, I don't think that can be underestimated.
And like there's a couple like tokens here too, like the Scuba Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, how long was this? Am I showing my screen? I'm not showing my screen, but it took 140, or it was like 143 days sideways and just ripped about, I know I'm not showing my screen, but about 542%. So it's like the opportunities are going to be there. You just got to find the right ones.
And think of the liquidity in a pool in the volume, and don't think about like so much as a coin a piece of trash or not. Think of it based on its liquidity or its volume or something, but think of more about where's the opportunity with the amount of volume that it's getting on average and the amount of liquidity it has on average. So that like if a coin has like Scuba Steve, it's got 51K on its PulseX V2 pair. It's got 51K of liquidity and it did $27,000 of volume today, but on average it was doing like $1,000 a day for a while. You know, maybe you only need to put in some proportional amount relative to that volume. Like if it was doing $1,000 of volume a day and it's a down day, it's a red day. Well, maybe you just decide to put $1,000 in, because even though there was only a couple grand on it back then, now all of a sudden it's ripped up some X's and now there's 50K in there. So now you can, you have to play the game at the level the game is being played on a per token basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, just.
But yeah, that's, you know,
it's like you just.
It's so easy for us guys that have been doing, literally obsessed
Yeah.
with this stuff for years. So like we don't ever look away. But yeah, I encourage, you know, if you're listening in and you're just like a hobbyist or like you're just, you know, I know a lot of the people in here are like hardcore hexagons that have been with us for years now. And so, but they also had humble beginnings too, where they really only knew hex staking. So like, we've all been on a journey to learn more about how these systems work and how to use them to our benefit. But if, you know, if you're not in that camp, or if you are in that camp and you just want to, you know, find a group that you like, find a group of people that you like, or a leader that you like, and go learn from them. Because like they can really speed up your growth and help you hit your crypto goals earlier than maybe you could on your own.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was onboarding my aunt to crypto, and she's like, "So how do I learn about crypto?" I'm like, "Oh, there's a bunch of free stuff. You can do that." She's like, "Well, can you teach me?" I'm like, "Yeah, come join the group. you're going to get expedited." Because when I talk and like it's like probably the same way you do. We've had these conversations about like not everything is going to be like we talk about is here free open, but this is free.com. But like when you like in my groups on Mondays and on Thursdays, I really explain things in a very different kind of way that the normal individual does. And it's just in terms of crypto is a language that you have to learn. And there's many different words to utilize in many different phrases. And then but basically at the end of the day, it's like once you understand the flow of money, then you'll understand the flow of everything else in your life. So that's something I would say to that extent. Do you want to show a live, or do you want to land the plane?
Well, I can show, maybe not. Maybe we'll wait. There, I mean, okay, so live's coming along well. Some guys are getting private demos of some of the stuff, but they'll announce the date that it's going to launch will be announced at the same time for everybody, so that there's no, you know, insider info that way. Nobody knows the launch date. I don't even know the launch date yet. But it's audited. It's live on testnet. The front end is coming together nicely. The contract works flawlessly. It's modular. It's immutable. So things can be built on top of it in the future. And right now we're just working on the application layer enhancements to like make sure that this is the most transparent and amazing data set and stats pages that you can get on any token on any chain. And so we're doing this because we want to have just an amazing tech that's never been done before in this way. And when I do decide to unveil it publicly, it'll be done on my channel on like a marathon style stream. And if this is successful, and which, you know, we think it will be, it's going to make Comm more valuable, which is going to increase hex staking. And that's just based on its liquidity bonds that were going to be done in ways that have never been done before. For you nerds out there, I'm hyper excited. Markable's were actively working on his probably his biggest project he's ever worked on. And it's a video reveal for the project. And you guys have seen the quality of his work and the intros and stuff on my channel. And I couldn't be more excited to reveal this. If I didn't think it would, like, for me to have anything built on Axis, it has to be amazing, because that's the standard that was set by the price action. It was the first coin to do billions and billions of percent against Pulse. So many percents that you can't even, it's not even worth measuring them. And it was the first coin to go from sub penny levels to 98,000 to flip Bitcoin. And it flipped Bitcoin for like a day. And I believe that it can flip Bitcoin again. And I think this is going to be a funnel for making the Axis Alive fusion a tremendously valuable and permanent system in the Pulse Chain ecosystem. So yeah, we're getting closer, and I can't wait to show you guys more. And I appreciate the time to cover it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to kind of like the individuals that burn their access and what they actually do with it. And if people are going to be buying alive or not buying alive, or they just kind of just do exactly what it's meant to be. So, and then hopefully at the same time, it will digress to the digression to like Comm as well, and utilizing that tool for the ecosystem. It's going to be very, very, very interesting.
There's so many layers of the onion to peel back that I haven't talked about with anybody besides the dev team. And yeah, I'm teasing it so much because it's you know, it's near and dear to my heart. I think it's going to be cool. So
when launch?
Tell me, when is it coming? I want to get my money in it. Yeah. Sorry guys, no announcement yet on the date. But yeah, it works. It's flawlessly working on testnet, audited by CertiK, and it embodies a lot of the same qualities as Comm. So it's a spiritual successor to Comm, made by the same dev, but it just utilizes the Axis token as the primary token.
Wasn't it his idea too?
Yeah, it was his idea. That's right. It was you know, Kodiak, the founder of Comm. This was his idea that he came to me with. So, you know, again, I wouldn't have entertained it if I didn't think it was a really, really good idea. And now we have like a living, breathing front end. I'm looking at it right now, but and it's beautiful, it's transparent and powerful. And I'll leave you with this: what would happen, you know, if you could pay people to onboard into your system? Like, you know, where's the right amount of marketing dollars spent to meet optimal efficiency versus the optimal amount of onboarding? Like, where's that? And this is something we won't know until we launch. Like, what is the amount of money you got to pay somebody to commit to a system, and how is the market going to value that? It's the first ever free floating instant rebate. You know, free floating in the sense that, you know, I don't control the price of Alive, you don't control the price of Alive, but the market as a whole can control the price insofar as their buying and selling activity sets the rate at which a new user can come in, buy Axis, and commit it to the system and get some percentage of reward back at the point of commitment. So it's marketing dollars spent with an they automatically are automatically are onboarded into the system, because it does do it. It's a time lock and burn. So it's like, well, how much is it? Do I, you know, coach, if you go buy $10,000 of Axis, like what's the amount that I have to pay you to get you to do it? Like, do I have to pay you $3,000 or upfront to get you to buy $10,000 of Axis and commit it? Is it $5,000? Is it $7,000? where's the market, the free market, going to value that? Where is the free market going to put that instant rebate on a long-term basis? So to bring the most amount of adoption in and create this deflationary pressure on the community supply of Axis. Axis will just get more and more rare through this process of this refining process of distilling down the Axis supply and producing alive on the other end of it, most of which is pushed out for a long time into the future. You only get a portion of it up front. Very unique system. Kudos and credit to Kodiak for coming up with this idea. I can't wait to share more.
Yeah, I'm looking. I just want when launch, but I've been waiting for like a month for it. But you know, perfection. Nothing's gonna be perfect, but I know everything takes time. So, especially on the development side of things, there's so many different loops and kind of like waiting for like going through the markets and stuff like that. So,
and just to, like, you know, as a developer, and I know you go through the same thing, because it's like you make a token that is open-ended and that you can build on top of it in the future. And then it's like the ideas, there's so many good ideas that you could build on top of a good strong foundation of a token.
Yeah. And it's like at the same time, it's like in the past, you build things with people, and there's some individuals you find out who are bad actors and good actors at the end of the day. So that's another thing that I've realized while building different projects and stuff like that. So it's going to be exciting. That like in terms of the liquidity pool between Access and PTGC, it's like now we can say, all right guys, if Pulse Chain does a 10x and Access does a 10x, and then PTGC, how big is this liquidity pool going to be? How big is this liquidity pool going to be?
It's not going to be very small. It's let me see. I'm gonna pull it up on PulseX quick before we wrap.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, thanks everybody for coming today. I saw a lot of regular names in the chat. You know, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for showing up and supporting these guys, meaning myself and Coach and the community at whole.
Yeah,
you know, you guys are the reason why we're here and producing this content.
Yeah. And this is why I got access to do all these things in the morning time too.
Yeah,
like
this is I usually don't get. Yeah, that's right. My normal streaming time is usually around 3 in the afternoon Eastern. So, but it's good though. It's good. Let's see.
Yeah.
Did you see this page right here? This is the launch date. So you got on August 8th. The pool goes live, and we were at 32K. And ever since then, these two coins have been battling for supremacy, and now we're sitting at 128K in this pool. And this is perma-burned, so this is a direct link between Axis and PTGC that'll exist forever on the blockchain, and it'll only grow forever. It's cool because right now we're so it's saying that there's $0, but I don't think these are actual accurate numbers here. These 7-day volumes and stuff, they're not accurate, because for some reason that's something that we're handling with the PulseX dev team, is why does this stuff not populate? It's because it's very costly to populate everything for every token. But yeah, this has been a pretty cool thing to see, is like, now if you love Axis and you love PTGC, now there's a direct bond between them, so you can ratio trade them potentially. Over time you can find value in one or the other. If one goes up a lot, you can rotate out. If the other one's down bad, you can rotate in, stuff like that. And I would encourage people to do that, as they see fit. That's why these pairs are made, is to create a deep web and give people optionality. So
yeah, and it's just like, so why didn't you guys like talk about it when you guys did it? It's just like, I don't know. We just want the open market to do the open market thing and actually look at the open market. And you can take all these things with a grain of salt, or you can look at them as possible things in the future. No expectation from the work of others, You never know. Maybe me and Access and the next bear market, we build like the coolest things ever created, known to man, here on Pulse Chain.
Guaranteed.
But bro, we've been going on 116. We have 526 people watching this beautiful conversation. It's always a pleasure, man. Having you on the stream, and yeah, it's always a good time. And any last words?
Yep. Steak at 5555, baby, and we're out.
Steak. And buy the EHEX dip.
Buy the EHEX dip.
All right. See you guys.
Peace to you guys.